work over at the Toasted Goat at the other side. Teresita, where do you work right now?
I work for a company that's based out of Chicago. It's called La Costa. But Eaton employs them to get them workers. So we do have our own office in there.
Okay.
I work in HR, but yeah, I have about 50 people working under me.
So when you say HR, you talking like you're the executioner, or what's going on here?
No, that's the manager.
So you're the
I just-
hirer, not the firer.
Yes,
Okay.
I hire.
So you don't have the hood and the axe and all that.
No.
Okay.
Will I be in on those talks sometimes? Sometimes.
So you know it's coming. You know you're part of the conspiracy. No, I'm just kidding. But so you're basically upper management. Over
Yes.
Okay, cool. So like when it comes to your day-to-day stuff, I mean, what kind of parts and stuff do they make? What kind of?
So, I mean, Eaton, I guess. They make valves.
So like smaller car parts, like just.
No, for smaller, bigger. They ship out to different countries.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah. They get parts in from like Italy or Spain or just, yeah.
Okay.
You wouldn't think it, but behind Cabela's,
Mm-hmm.
they have their own warehouse full of valves from all these countries.
Now, is it just for cars, or are we talking like farm equipment? We're talking basically just anything that has machinery.
Anything that uses, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Damn. So is it? I mean, it's relatively far outside of town, or is it like what, 10 minutes away, 5 minutes away?
It's like 7-10 minutes away. Yeah, it is pretty far out there, but I mean, slowly the city's getting bigger and bigger.
Lord knows. Is that like whole factory space, like that just that whole complex? Is that all Eaton's and La Costa, or is that like different companies also are in that massive factory as well?
So it's all Eaton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all Eaton. They let us use an office there so that we can help our employees. So
Okay.
that's pretty much it. I mean, they supply everything.
So what kind of I mean, I know you personally, but for the folks at home, what kind of other jobs did you do before that? I know that you used to work at Husker Sit and Sleep. Was that what it was, or is it somewhere else?
Mm-hmm.
I got it right finally? Because I know I said like 3 other places each and every time.
Yes, finally.
Cool. I didn't do any research. I straight up guessed.
Yes, I used to be a salesperson. But actually, recently, I've also been a caretaker for like disabled people. So I don't know. That's been pretty nice. I mean, it's chill. It's not too demanding.
Is that for like a private practice? Is it a personal thing, or is it like a state-funded kind of caretaking?
State funded. Yep.
Is that? I'm just spitballing. Is that Mosaic?
No, there's
No.
so many out there. This one's called Golden Services.
Okay. Are you able to talk about that a little bit? Like just kind of like what all kind of stuff they do?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, kind of. I mean, you can look up what the job entails anyway. But because there's so many different companies just like this one, but they all each just employ people to help disabled people in whatever ways they can't help themselves, you know?
Okay.
So the person that I help, they can't use their arms or their legs really. So I help them eat, pretty much anything.
Okay. So is it kind of what do you call it? Do you go to like a facility where they are, or do you visit them in home or
At their home.
at their
Yep.
home?
Yes.
Okay. So the reason I ask is so like my mom, I'm sure I may have told you before, is my mother used to work for the San Antonio State School, which is another state-funded project. But as far as I know, in Texas, it usually goes major city by major city, and I'm sure there's some stuff out in the rural areas, which is again more like out here. But it would be a very, very large facility. I'm sure there was departments that would do home visits, but a lot of it was an in-care facility. It also had a school, and it had a hospital in there as well. And she was music therapist, and she was also an event coordinator. So like she would get the clients in mass, and when I say in mass, I mean a lot of them, and together and do things, basketball, do all kinds of different sports outside and inside. And of course, teach them music on some fundamental level, like bells or something like that. So that's cool. Honestly, when I first moved out here, I was just kind of wondering about like services for those with disabilities and stuff like that, and kind of how that's all taken care of. So that's cool that you have like firsthand access to that kind of thing, or like firsthand account. And that's something you're doing currently alongside working at Eaton's?
Yes. How I got into it is just my boyfriend has a friend who got into an accident, and so he now requires that service, and he was looking for people to help him out because he had some spots open. So
Okay, that's cool.
I thought I'd try it out.
I was gonna say, so one more time, that's called what? It's called
Golden Services.
Golden Services. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were a salesperson, I know that we became friends over at Ashley Furniture, which I'm sure a lot of people who are watching, you guys have seen that in your bigger cities, sometimes even your smaller cities, depending on where you're at. And that's a huge national chain. I used to know the whole history of it because they kind of made you. But really cool place. I got nothing bad to say about like the whole process of the business and stuff like that. But when it comes to Husker Sit and Sleep, that's more of a local service, obviously with the Husker involved. Is there any major differences that you could see having worked at a national retailer for furniture and a local retailer for furniture?
Oh, it was so much different, Tasia. I mean, at Husker Sit and Sleep, it's one person running it. It's just the owner.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I kind of knew him from my boyfriend.
If you want to shout him out, you can. You can shout him out on here. You can show this video to him. Be like, yo, man, we got you hooked up, dude. Husker Sit and Sleep. Go shop.
That's true. So my boyfriend's friend, Danny, he knows the owner, John.
Okay.
John Ungst.
Okay. Shout out John Uns.
Yes. Hey, John.
What up?
But yeah, I mean, he was just looking for help. And so, I mean, it's very relaxed. Just nothing like Ashley's at all.
Because, I mean, definitely with the bigger national corporations, they have, their protocols down pat. They have their entire just way of doing things down to a T. And it just a little bit more stringent. Like, it's a little bit more kind of locked up. You have to be a certain way. And so it's a little bit more free over it, like Husker Sit and Sleep. Like,
extremely 100% more free.
now, you're not just saying that because you used to work for him and you just now realized he might watch this someday? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm just telling you the difference, Tasia. It's the complete opposite.
That's cool. I mean, that again, that was also something I noticed when I moved out here was, local businesses in San Antonio and stuff, first of all, they're few and far between. They're mostly going to be restaurants. It's folks with, family recipes that go back God knows how long, things like that. There are, like state local places. Of course, the biggest one would be like HEB. I can't even tell y'all how incredible HEB is. Not sponsored, but man, every Texan knows. Like you're born at least 10 minutes away from an HEB. There's no doubt. But out there, local businesses, if they weren't big corporate chains, it was a lot harder to kind of survive out there. I mean, like you really had to either franchise out, get your single store in as many sides of town as possible. Now, of course, that's a city of 2.5 million people. Kearney really doesn't have that kind of issue. So do you feel like it's, what do you call it? It's a lot better to work at a place where you're not getting random people that you kind of don't get familiar with. You know what I'm saying? Like at a bigger box store, even at Ashley, you have folks passing through, folks who live 200, 300 miles away. Whereas the local stores, do you see people more often, like folks that you can build a relationship with? They come back and buy stuff. And that's at Ashley too, but more like personal level? Or is it just people passing through, getting stuff? You kind of never see them again?
It's a little bit of both still. Because I feel like both were the same in that aspect. There's definitely people that you got familiar with and definitely people that were just passing through.
But
I saw it in both.
so it's just kind of more like the tack of sales in the furniture industry kind of thing. It's just, I remember at Ashley, one of the things they would tell us is, when someone is coming to buy furniture, you kind of make sure you lock in that full sale, because when they buy that furniture, they're not gonna come back for years. I mean, we buy a couch, you don't need one next week. When you get your bed set and all that stuff in, you're not gonna need one for what, 15 years? Something like that. Now, if you're trying to, deck out your whole house with the same collections and stuff like that, I mean, you'll see folks over time, but that's cool.
I mean, too, you can, if you do build a relationship, even with the people that are just passing by, if you do a good enough job, they'll recommend you to their family, their friends, etc. Like, if you're good enough, they'll talk about it.
And so that kind of speaks to, like, how important word of mouth is in a smaller town. Like,
oh, definitely.
People definitely talk about that. Like, I mean, I don't want to say it's a stereotype, but I mean, it's more of a truth. It's just, if you perform good, you perform bad, either way, it's going to make its way around, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Because I remember, of course, working at Ashley, and he had been there for a long, long time. I think who I'm going to talk about is Mr. Mark Skirling. That fellow had people he had been selling to for years. He had connections who were friends of friends of friends, folks that were recommended by other customers he saw years ago. And I mean, again, like, just to anyone who goes, do I take my job too seriously or not seriously enough? I mean, I personally look at this guy as a matter of motivation. This man would create Excel sheets that were so ridiculous and automated in some cases that he was able to not only keep track of his personal sales throughout the entire year, he set up the entire, like, year-to-date sales Excel sheets and all these generating numbers each time a sale was put into the system or a return was made. Keep track of everybody's individual sales, all on an Excel sheet. Now, I know I'm going to have, like, my cybersecurity systems people who might be watching go, yo, what the do you mean you put an entire, franchise's sales numbers and all that very sensitive data on only an Excel sheet? Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely correct. The thing is, there's a lot of folks out here who have that knowledge. They put it to a better use than trying to rob or take advantage of a small franchised piece of a rather large national company. If they were going to take advantage of Ashley, like these per se hacker folks, their best bet is to go after the headquarters and start sucking the money from the top out instead of the bottom at these franchises. But what I'm trying to get at is this gentleman took his job so seriously, and not like in that stupid, bro, you're just working too hard. He would not break a sweat. Man was in the military. I can't imagine. He probably, from the way that I knew him, great guy, awesome guy. Seemed to me he must have been in intelligence in some kind of way, like the intelligence department. Because dude, just information. I mean, like, he's got it. And I talk a lot and very fast. That was a match. I mean, that dude just, if he was in this room, 6-hour episode, no doubt.
Oh my God, we should have him on here.
We should get him in here. But yeah, so, like, stuff like that. I find a lot more of that kind of thing here in a small town where you're really able to affect not only just the people as, like, the customers and stuff, to be held to such a standard within the place that you work that you are trusted with maintaining effectively a automated database that you designed for this entire franchise. That's huge, because again, in San Antonio, you again, nicest damn guy, cleanest record, you could do everything in the world right. It just freaks people out that people want to automate the system or streamline it and let it do it by itself, because then for the most part you don't get to see all the data change, and that freaks people out. When I saw that he was doing that there and the folks who owned Ashley Furniture were letting him, and not letting him like he was doing a bad thing, just, hey man, that's all you. Blew my mind and just kind of like showed me like, if you put your work in and you know you like what you do, and you have all these other skills that can apply to this job in some kind of way, the right boss, the right manager, it's not just like, oh, you know, it's all magic and it all works. No, the right boss, right manager, they will not take advantage of that. They will see that and go, that guy needs to get paid more. That guy needs to be promoted. Yes, give him more responsibility, but also that accordance in pay. I mean, Mr. Mark was definitely paid above a lot of people, and not just because of tenure, because he had skills and he knew how to apply them everywhere. And I mean, I don't know, it's just crazy because in big cities you would never get the opportunity except for maybe 20 years later. And I think he had been there by that point. It was like 15 years or something. Maybe
I think so, yeah.
It was crazy. Yeah, it was wild.
Something like that. No, yeah, that tracks.
So, yeah, something like that. Was coolest damn guy in the world.
I remember when I was like 10, we went to Ashley's and he sold us our coffee table.
Yo.
I'm 30 now.
What kind of jobs did you do before? So again, Husker Sit and Sleep, and then I met you at Ashley before that. And so what kind of jobs or things did you do before that?
Oh, man. Oof. I've done a wide array of stuff. Before that, I was working at Sally's Beauty Supply.
Up over there on 56th?
Yes, yes, where they sell those supplies to, like, barbers and stylists and whatnot. Okay. So you really had to know hair. But then before that, I was actually a cell phone manager person. I don't know, at Target.
Okay.
I don't know if they still do, but at the time they had like a different company working their little cell.
Oh, was it like Metro or something?
No, it was like something else. Market Source. There you go.
Market Source?
Yeah, that's what it was. But yeah, I was the manager. I sold people phones, but people didn't really go there to buy phones. I mostly just fixed people's phones.
So was it more like that, what do you call it? Like prepaid phone?
No, it was Verizon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because at Walmart you can get like unlocked phones, right?
Yeah, at Target too, but I guess
on Target.
They're not. They're weird unlocked phones. Because you either get Verizon phones.
Go on.
They're just like different companies that you would have never heard of.
So like, okay, here's a name I'm going to pull out of the ether. Huawei.
Maybe.
Huawei.
Oh, yeah.
So real quick story about that in case anybody remembers what Huawei is. So, before TikTok, because that was the next big China's invading everything, oh my god. Oh god, politics. There was a brand called Huawei. And it came out right around the time that smartphones were getting so expensive and iPhone had not yet been taken to court for its built-in obsolescence that we all knew it had, even though the fanboys and girls didn't want to admit it. Before that all happened, Huawei comes in and gives you iPhone-level features and quality on a Samsung or LG looking and feeling device, meaning not an iPhone, not iPhone price tag, not Apple, no lightning charger, no iTunes and Apple Store and all that crap. So you weren't tied down to any of that. And it was an unlocked phone. So you could put whatever SIM card, and it had an adapter tray for like different ones, different countries. You could put 2 SIM cards in some of them and switch between the 2 and do all kinds of shit like that for a quarter of the price of the iPhone. And I think it was Donald Trump who came in and said, no, we're not doing that. China's hacking the phone stuff. And hey, maybe on a government level, they know things that I don't. Not necessarily Donald Trump, but like the rest of them. Maybe his intelligence advisors, they know stuff. But what it also reminds me of is after they kicked Huawei out of the market and just said you can't sell these phones here anymore. And I have a Huawei somewhere in my house. I just don't use it anymore. It reminded me of back in the 80s or something. The car people might hang me. But Japan came here after we blew them up and stuff, and they got back on their feet, got their economy together, and they started kicking our ass in technology, in TVs, in radios, and everything. And the one where people finally couldn't take it anymore was cars. If anybody out there owns a Mitsubishi 3000 GT, a Toyota Supra, an old, what is it, a Datsun, whatever the proto GTR is, any of those things, you know what I'm talking about. They threw those cars right out of the river and just said, don't bring that shit to my shores anymore. Also that the American car manufacturers could prop up Corvette and Chrysler. And Corvette's cool, except for if you ding it, scratch it, sideswipe it, rip the paint off, do anything, because you don't pay for that panel of the car. It's one continuous body unit. It's called the unibody. So kind of like Apple's super expensive, you're tied to my stuff thing, but then it breaks very easily and is super expensive to fix. Corvette. In the shop all the time. Hyper-tuned vehicle. If it was off by a little bit, it went from perfect guitar string to whack immediately. So you had to take it in all the time. One scratch, you had to pay the whole body to fix it. And that's what we still have today. In fact, I personally believe that what happened there with the Corvette is a direct inspiration to how Apple operates the iPhone. Allegedly, don't sue me. But stuff like that. So that's cool that you actually have experience with kind of seeing those different phones there for a second, because they all disappeared, didn't they? Like one day, like you just suddenly stopped selling them. And did you leave before that happened?
Yeah, before that happened. But they still have some good phones there. Last time I checked.
Hell yeah. So, you grew up in Nebraska your whole life?
Yep, my whole life.
Was it always in Kearney?
No, Lexington.
So, for folks who may not know, where is Lexington at? Is it...
It's about 30 to 40 minutes west of us.
Okay, and that's in the direction of Scotts Bluff and Ogallala and all that kind of stuff like that? Going towards Colorado?
Oh, yep, yes, yeah, that way.
Is that... what do you call it? Lexington, is it a culturally different town than Kearney? Is it somewhat similar?
It's very different, yes. I would say it's mainly Hispanic people that live there. There has been kind of an influx of other countries there as well too, like Somalia. But definitely very diverse. It's not like Kearney here.
So Kearney's not diverse or what?
Kearney's white.
So Lexington has a lot more of a diverse population, so a lot of Hispanic folks, and there are some folks from Somalia and stuff like that as well. I've definitely noticed what is interesting to me, and again, for anybody who doesn't know, my mother is from Kearney, Nebraska. She's white. And my father is from India. And so partially I have nothing to do with this place, and then partially I lived in Texas, and partially I had nothing to do with most of the stuff in the country. But when I came out here, one of the things I was not prepared for, I used to work at a smoke shop, and there was a lot of Afghani people that would come in. There's a lot of folks, like South African folks would come in. All kinds of people out here, and like it really blew my mind, because again, you expect that in the bigger cities, you know. Everyone has their stereotypes about, oh, everybody's weird in the country and in the rural, wherever you are, not just the Midwest, but they don't accept folks that look like me or look like us or stuff. They're kind of weird here and there, but overall, it's a pretty accepting place to like a diverse range of people.
No, I feel like they're both the same.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, definitely about the same. I mean, you have people in every culture that doesn't like other cultures, and
Yeah, everybody's got some kind of
Yeah.
issue, but there's definitely those melting pot of places where, I mean, like for instance, where we're sitting right now, there's a mosque right here out this window, and it's not like disguised or anything. It's right there chilling. Just down the road's a church. Um, there is a Jehovah's Witness. Kingdom Hall is over here. I've seen Latter-day Saints, and again, it's a lot of Christian denominations. But I've also I know that there is a Hindu temple out in Omaha, a huge Hindu temple. That thing was massive. I could not believe it.
I have not seen it.
Oh man, you gotta go sometime. It is, of course, free entry. All you gotta do is take your shoes off. Just assume a pious attitude. It doesn't have to be. Yeah, wear socks definitely. But yeah, assume a pious attitude. Doesn't have to be towards any god. Nobody's forcing you to do anything. And you just see these statues made of just pearl and this white stone. I'm not sure what it's called. There is some ivory stuff in there, even though it is illegal to sell in this country. But again, it's so old and was from a long time ago. It's basically kept as a treasure in that place so that nobody can sell it. There's a lot of interesting stuff there. They'll put on plays that essentially, tell the story of India or tell about I don't want to call it mythology. Someday we'll get into how I kind of think of what mythology means.
So the lore.
The lore, basically, of the country. Our versions of the Bible, our holy books and stuff. And again, none of it's forced. It's like, here's some free food. Stay if you want to. And it's really cool. And I'm assuming, the mosque over here is the same. Churches are the same. But the diversity of Kearney, Nebraska truly, truly surprised me. There's a lot of Korean folks out here, whether they're, foreign exchange students, they're, adoptees, stuff like that. I mean, there's, whether it's, an ethnic kind of heritage that, it's literally written all over you, or it's something you practice. There's all kinds of folks out here. And, I mean, I feel like folks are a lot less, what is the word? Kind of like, they're a lot less defensive. I don't want to say aggressive. They're a lot less, defensive on the surface about their beliefs, because there's not a lot of people out here trying to fight you all the time. There's not a lot of people. But just be straight and forward. Is not a lot of people with you. And if they are, what I've noticed is people around here kind of take that as that's his problem. Has nothing to do with you. I mean, you could have the whitest dude, overalls, white hair, blue eyes, scary looking face, just the history written all over him. Somebody comes up, starts being racist to somebody in a bar, that's the first guy to stand up, and do something about it. And I mean, yeah, I've had a few encounters, like I'm not gonna lie about it, but it's not been as holy shit, like I'm in fear for my life, as it is in the big city. Like we were saying, folks have problems with people. That's their personal thing. Like it has never been so overwhelming out here.
Well, and I feel like part of that too is I mean, I've been to other states too as well, but I feel like here it's just people are so polite. But at the same time too, if they see somebody being rude to somebody else, they're gonna say something, or they're gonna help people out. They're just they're so nice.
I remember when I got here, one of the things, how they say about the South, Southern hospitality. The one I was surprised is that not even the Midwest, Nebraska had it by themselves, and it was called Nebraska Nice, and that it was different. And of course, there were people that would say that facetiously and whatever, just sarcastically. But when I really got down to, what do these people mean Nebraska nice? How is that any different than Southern hospitality or anything like that? Southern hospitality is I'll let you in, but you better leave in a month. Nebraska nice is, the people waving at you while you're driving, saying hi on the side of the road for no reason. And it's the fact that, like, if you actually genuinely need something, there's at least 5 in 10 people who are willing to, like, help you in some kind of way, as long as you don't throw it back in their face. And that is, like, a super notable thing to me. Again, just as long as you're not taken, and you're doing something, and it doesn't mean, pouring money out of your ass and all that, as long as you're doing something, making music, drawing, making art, creating shirts, doing a podcast, making a magazine, not just a bartender but good at it, not just a salesman but good at it, cheerful, not a shitty person. It all seems to just kind of come together, and folks all say the same thing, which is, I don't care who you are, just don't be an asshole. And nobody would really say that in Texas because they just kind of be an asshole. And it was, if you're not as much of an asshole as me, don't have the fight. Don't even try. Whereas here, there's no need for any of that for the most part.
Well, okay, Tasia, I'm gonna tell you a story.
Go for it.
I feel kind of dumb about it now a little bit because I should have been a little bit more safer. But, like, I feel this place is so safe. This one time I was, because I also used to be, like, a family social worker type person.
Okay, I thought you were going to say gangster.
Oh, yep, that too. But, no, like, I used to drive to people's homes or that type of thing, but it wouldn't just be Kearney, it'd be other places. So this one time, I was heading back to Lexington because I was going to see my mom, and it was like 2 miles out. The car stopped working, and it was getting kind of dark, and so I had to stop on the side of the road, and I called my mom, and I was like, I need help, and I think she ended up sending my uncle or something. I don't even remember. Anyway, doesn't matter. I was just standing there, like, on the side of the road by myself in the dark. The town was like 2 miles away.
Jesus.
And I was just like, la 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 la, just like, when are the people coming? And this one guy stops, and he, like, comes and he makes sure that I'm okay, and he's like, and I'm okay, like, I'm fine. I'm like, my mom's coming, like, I don't even know what's wrong. And he's like, well, do you want me to check? Like, I'm like, no, like, you're fine, it's okay. And he's like, I wasn't even thinking about this, but he's like, you're so brave, like, it's it's dark out here, you're alone. And I'm like,
fuck.
He's like, anybody could come or something. And I'm like, oh
yeah,
my
like
god,
you,
like you.
Like, get the fuck out of my face, please.
But I feel like I have a really good gut instinct, and
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was terrible, but I did say something like that. I'm like, oh, like, are you gonna do something?
Like, homie, nobody wants to address that elephant, you know what I'm saying? Because we're not exactly in the room. We're, like, in the middle of nowhere,
but
and it's dark.
No, just, I felt kind of dumb, though, because I'm like, oh my god, this guy's right, though. What if a serial killer had just come by?
Bro's never heard of Ted Bundy. Nah, bro, just walking up to women in the middle of the night. Yo, you all right? Let me just stand here awkwardly. I don't have a knife. What do you mean? No, but, like, I get you, though. Is like, the guy didn't give off, freak vibes. He was genuinely there to help.
Yes, yeah, he did try to help me. He was so nice. Thank you, guy, whoever you were.
I was going to say, one thing for me, man, is driving between Lincoln and Kearney. There's fucking nothing, for anybody who didn't know that. And there was one time I almost ran out of gas out there. And a fear growing up in South Texas, again, most of the places you're driving, there's either city on the way there or city very close by. Was running out of gas in the middle of the night and having to hop over barbed wire, get lost in a cornfield, to go find that person's house who owns that land, not get shot in the process, knock on the door, not get shot again, and ask for help and not get shot until I get home. Because in Texas, they like smell you coming. You step on someone's land, they know. They just know. I don't know. You just, a shot goes off and you just help. Or if you know you're not supposed to be there, you don't say a fucking word. You don't say anything. So that fear really dawned on me that, wow, there is nothing out here. Like, especially when you're just, again, out more towards Lincoln and you're not quite there. And you were stuck out where? Where was this by?
Oh, it was by Lexington. It was like 2 miles north of Lexington.
Still good enough to be dark as hell.
Oh, yeah, it was pretty dark, yes. Nope, I know, the man was right.
Insert SpongeBob meme here about advanced darkness. It's just, I don't know. Cause see, like that's a crazy thing for me as well. Is this is I-80. We're right on I-80, Interstate 80, which used to be a huge part of linking up to Route 66. And so when people started to be afraid of folks like Ted Bundy, like For Real, and Jeffrey Dahmer, when people really began to get afraid of that, these areas paid the price because there's nothing out here. And I don't think we'll ever heal from that, like just as folks in general. There's serial killers everywhere in every country, but it's like that particular, the folks who take advantage of empathy, trying to help, that concept in order to do heinous shit. That's a different kind of evil. And again, like in the city, you find more people that lean that way, even though it's like a city. You're like, oh, everybody's fine. There's so many people. Like, who would do anything? There's so many people. You get thrown in the back of a trunk. Nobody saw shit. Here, it's like someone's gonna probably go like 4 hours. You're not home on time. You already told me you were gonna be such and such. You're not there. All right, we're calling the cops. We're getting a town together. We're getting the friends together. Everybody getting their vehicle, gas up, get a flashlight, get a gun.
Posting it on Facebook. Everybody get out here.
Yup. See, in the damn city, you could have gotten drunk on that side of town and stayed at a friend's house. You could have, you're known to go hang out in San Marcos or Uvalde or whatever. Days will pass before someone goes, where the fuck is this person? Gone. By the way, for anybody who doesn't know, there is a urban legend that has gone around forever that says that you need to wait 24 to 48 hours to call in a missing person. And I'm going to tell you why that's stupid. Because when someone has been kidnapped or is missing, the first 4 to 8 hours are the most important. Not 4 to 8 hours after being reported. 4 to 8 hours after they're gone. So the thing is, that stupid sentiment of wait 24 to 48 hours, you have already given yourself the short stick. You have already lost. And any cop who tells you that needs to be immediately fired. And I'm so serious. I don't care. Like, come at me. Because I have known too many people who have gone missing and never come back. And only later were these people told by their lawyers that there is no such law, there is no such policy, there is no such anything that dictates you have to wait 24 to 48 hours, especially when it flies in the face of the 4 to 8 hours after disappearance rule. So just don't let anybody tell you that. Just by the way, if you happen to be listening and you know somebody's missing or you feel like something's wrong, it's been 5 hours, call. Figure it out. If you can't get a hold of them, do it now. Don't wait. The 24 to 48 hours thing is not real. But yeah, with that kind of stuff, people mobilize out here. I mean, shit, my cat ran away for a second there. And there was people on their bikes. There was people trolling around the neighborhood area. There's people walking around looking in alleyways, dumpsters, because he was a trash cat originally when we found him. Over a cat. Yeah, God bless all of you, by the way. Seriously, like, I can't even tell you. The son of a bitch definitely just walked back up to the door, but it was that part that was super important because, again, I can only imagine someone's kid, cousin, brother, sister, mother, father, somebody who's known to be a farmer, you know, be out and around the ditches. Yo, combine falls over upside down, someone's in trouble. And if it's, you know, sun's going down, dad's not home for dinner, you better go find out what the hell's going on. And people think like that for the most part. I mean, when it comes to very obvious things like that, there's a lot of folks out here that just, they don't let the worst thought or the worst take, you know, totally overtake them. It just becomes this logic thing. It's, let's get answers. Let's go find out instead of waiting around. And that translates into a different kind of safety. You know, that's a different kind of nicety in my mind. I think it almost falls in a totally different category. That's being a community. That's what it's about. Really, really. Because, I mean, shit. You know, do you carry pepper spray on you?
No, I should.
I was going to say just because, like, and rightfully so, a lot of the women in San Antonio, if a guy like that came up while they were fucked up on the side of the road, dark as shit like that, you know, those specific things, I'm going to say solidly 7 out of 10 chance, just mace him in the face. If he came on too strong, if he walked up too fast, if he surprised the shit out of him because he just doesn't have social awareness. Not that it has to be his fault. It's a very high stakes, high stress situation, and some dude just comes running out of the fucking clear blue sky or pulls over, and now you're just stuck in headlights like this and you can't see. I mean, where we're from, that's like grab the mace, start getting the knife out of the holster, like, yo, what's up? What's up? What are you doing here? You know, oh, I'm just trying to help. Cool, you can help from over there. You know, you can just help by staying over there and not moving any closer.
I'm too trusting. I know. Sorry.
And it's not even bad to be that way. And that's.
But still, I mean, in that situation, I feel like I had a 50-50 chance
that's
there.
Exactly. Carry pepper spray. For when the 50 chance is not on your side. But see, that's that cool shit around here. Is you can be trusting, and a lot more often than not, you don't pay the price for it. You know what I'm saying? And that's a huge thing. It took me years to accept that you can actually trust some people out here. And with small things, personal things, and big things. You always got to remember the rule of a small town, though. Everybody talks, and it's not usually, you know, because they hate you or because they wanted to see you fail or anything. People just talk, bro. You just show up in conversation because you exist, and there's not really a whole lot you can do about that. You exist, you're doing things, and if you're going to do things, people are going to talk about you. And what kind of hooligan stuff did you and your friends allegedly get up to when y'all were younger?
What age?
The age of what is that called? The age of
Statute of limitations.
yeah, where the statute of limitations are. So you didn't kill anybody, right?
Oh no,
Okay,
no,
I think
no,
we're good.
no killing.
Petty theft, grand larceny, grand theft auto.
Tasia, okay, I don't know if I can. There's no stories
know what
for
the
this
fuck that
podcast. Ama, apa, yo nunca hice nada. Oh my gosh, no, I've had so many crazy stories, Tasia. Oh my god. Sometimes my life feels like a movie or like a really long sitcom or a telenovela. All of them, all 3. Oh
Right.
wait, actually, okay, I have one more story.
Okay,
Okay,
is
hold
it
on.
a ghost story?
It better be.
Gross, no, Tasia.
Do you have
No ghost stories, please.
No, but do you have any ghost stories?
Yes, I do have ghost stories. Along with that story about me being too trusting this one time. Okay. God damn, I am too trusting. Oh my gosh. I see it now. I see it. this one time I went to a party and I really wanted to go home. The party was pretty okay, but it was kind of lame. I don't know. I wanted to leave. But the friend that I came with, she didn't want to leave yet. So I didn't live like too far from that party. Like it was a walk, but it was doable, you know. Plus, it wasn't that hot or cold. Oh yeah, so I was like walking outside, and I was just gonna walk home, right? Just it was pretty dark, but I was gonna walk. And this car drives up, and they're picking up some people, total strangers. Did not know any one of those people, like zero, right?
Mm.
And I'm just walking there, like, hey, where are you going? And I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna walk home. My friend doesn't want to take me home. Like, I just told him the truth, because I mean, what else am I gonna say? so so they're like, hey, we'll take you home.
Bruh.
And I'm like, do you guys even have room? Because it looked like they didn't, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, no, yeah, just come on, we'll take you home.
Jesus.
And then yeah, they took me home, but
Yeah? Why are you laughing, dude?
Because I didn't know any of those people. If my sister had told me that she did that, oh my god.
But when it's you, it's fine, right? It's just a funny story.
Oh my god. Looking back, Tasia, I can see it. I've been so wild. Whew, okay. Anyway.
Walks in a don't cross crosswalk. Bro, I'm breaking the law.
I'm just saying that's not even like the craziest stuff that I've done.
So who'd you rob?
Let's go to ghost stories.
We're going to talk about scary stories, spooky shit, and otherwise weird things, mainly because our cameras have a night vision setting, and we're also in a possibly haunted building that we will talk about at some other date. So, hit it.
So, I used to live in this very, very tiny house. But hey, it was $30,000, just so
Jesus.
everybody knows.
My God.
And it
Is
was a great house.
Is this Lex?
Yeah, in Lexington.
Lex is expensive.
$30,000. Imagine that. Oh my gosh, it's
actually-
like $100,000 now. But oh yeah, tiny house, but it was amazing. I loved it. But anyway, also I had a queen bed as a kid, so
Okay.
I'm gonna flex on y'all. No, you know what though? It was my grandmother's old mattress though, so that's probably where the ghost came from.
So she's just like caught in a mattress?
No, she wasn't dead yet.
Oh.
So it was a mattress from Mexico too.
Oh, okay. Dude, this is getting like worse and worse, bro. Was she like a bruja too? Is that the next thing you're gonna tell me?
I don't think so.
She used to like bury statues in the yard and shit, or what?
No, I've never
No?
seen her do that. This is in Lexington, in my little house. And it was summertime. I remember because we didn't have any air conditioner. Oh my god.
Just like this?
No, it was way worse than this. Way worse. So much worse. But so I would open the window because it was kind of like next to my bed, next to like the foot of my bed. So I would sleep, you know, the other way. So this one time I was sleeping and my pillow fell, you know.
Mm.
So I went to go grab it, and oh my gosh. So I like pulled it, right? Because I just wanted it, you know, like just give me the pillow so I can go back to sleep, right? I pull it, no, something hard just pulls it back. That's the thing though, it pulled it all the way back, right? So I pull it again.
What the fuck?
And it goes back down, Tasia. And I'm like, you know what? You keep it. And I went back to sleep without the pillow.
So just to reiterate, you're trying to sleep in bed. You feel like the sheets are coming off or like they're pulled tight.
No, the pillow.
The pillow.
It fell over the edge because the window was close to the foot of the bed.
Mm-hmm.
So I slept the other way, and so the pillow was
Something pulled the pillow back.
Yes, like the pillow fell on the floor,
Yeah.
and I went to grab it, and something pulled it.
Did you have like cats at the time?
No pets. My parents to this day, no pets.
Because I was gonna say, like, I think about when my cat on my shit, I drop off my
No.
bed or whatever.
No, Tasia, there's nothing.
I was gonna say, because if it's not that, if it wasn't animals, that's where shit gets hard for me. Because if it's not animals, if it's not a sibling messing with you,
I had a sibling, my brother, but
he would
He
never
was-
dare. I'm just kidding.
no, he's just a deep sleeper.
Bet.
Like, he sleeps so deeply and he snores so loud. Like, you know he's
You
asleep.
would know if he was sleeping in the next room or if he was coming this way.
Yes, actually, yes.
I mean, sleepwalking, dude. That's actually, again, that's creepy as shit, because it's like, that under the bed shit in the closet, like right beneath the veil, whatever that is. So, you know what? You brought up sleeping. Janelle Alexandria Gomez, if you end up watching this, your house is haunted. I don't care. I'm so serious. I do not care. Your house is one of the most haunted locations I have ever been to, and I don't believe in this shit. As you heard with the story she was saying, I kind of try to deduce, I try to do this thing. And so what I'm going to do too, and I encourage any guest that comes on, and even in your next story, Teresita, if you want to deduce like all the thoughts you were thinking, trying to talk yourself out of shit, trying to play the skeptic and just essentially say in the least simplest of terms, this is not happening.
Oh, I do that with every single thought, Tasia.
Good. Every single thought. Awesome. So when there's shit happening that you can't explain, I am that person who will scream it out in real time while it's occurring, even if other people are in the room, because I don't care. And then I'll think about it for like days and years, clearly. So we were hanging out at my friend Janelle's house, and it's up on the north side of San Antonio. It is, past SeaWorld, past all that. And it's over by Lackland Air Force Base kind of area, definitely where the military housing is outside of the base. And we were hanging out, playing board games, doing all kinds of stuff like that. Decided to go to bed. It's me, her, and her neighbor Valerie. Now, I'm sleeping on the floor. I'm a guy. She's sleeping in her bed, and her neighbor, who's also like her best friend, they're sharing the bed together. They're sleeping. And I begin to hear like noises of somebody moving around in the room. And I'm like, okay, somebody's just rolling around, doing whatever. And then I hear Janelle get up a little bit and like kind of like sitting up in bed a little bit and telling Valerie, hey, can you stop moving? And essentially Valerie tells her, I can't move. The lady won't let me. Now the thing is, in her mind or dream or whatever, Valerie, she is not moving. I am asleep and refusing to acknowledge to anyone or let anybody know that I'm awake. So I am on the floor. I hear this moving around. Then I hear the lady won't let me. And even Janelle kind of goes, the fuck? And just goes, whatever, man. You're asleep. I'm not going to mess with you. Goes to bed. Like, I hear her lay back down. And I'm like, cool. Just she does that. Then she starts, like, either ripping the sheets or doing something weird or whatever's going on, because I can't. There's a high up bed, and I'm on the ground. And all I hear is, Valerie, stop. Valerie is not here. And in like a deeper voice than what I am capable of doing with this microphone. And Valerie, obviously girl and a little bit younger than us, who was like, 17, like 16 or 17 at the time, so she was like 14, 15, did not have a deep voice. And so that, again, laying on the floor, freaked me out. And I can only imagine what Janelle's face looked like. Something akin to, like, what the fuck? and kind of got over it. Because Janelle is very much a skeptic, even if the shit's happening in her house. She doesn't care. It's not happening. Trooper, your house is fucked up. So, then I hear, I'm, now trying to go back to bed, I'm vibing. And I hear a click. Like metal click. And I kind of open my eye a little bit. And it's Valerie leaving the room. Ooh, right? Big spooky. Gotta go take a shit. Well, her eyes are not open. And hey, I've done that, right? You know you're about to turn on a light. You walk out, and you're just like, I'm bracing myself. Her legs were not bent horribly, but she's kind of like a slouch, hardcore slouch to her. And she was like an athlete, so she did not have a posture like that. And she kind of unlatches the thing, and her head tilts to the side like this, and like the door just kind of swings open with the AC moving through the hallway, the wind. It just kind of clicks open. Just, naturally fucking scary house. And she walks out. And leaves the door open, so all this cold air is coming in. And again, I'm thinking nothing of this, because I'm like, she's going to go to the bathroom. And I'm still beginning to, in my heart of hearts, I'm beginning to tweak. Like, I'm absolutely going, something feels wrong. And it had, in my mind, it felt like hours. I'm sure it had only been 10, 15 minutes. And Janelle hops out of bed and goes, "Are you awake?" I'm like, "Yeah." Absolutely I'm awake. She goes, "Where did Valerie go?" So she walked out of the room. And she goes, "Well, where'd she go?" And I was like, "Yeah, because I got up and asked her." And I was like, "I don't know." I was like, I'm assuming she went to the bathroom or something. I don't know. So there is no one else in the house. We're all just hanging out. Again, all asleep in this room. Her mother is at the hospital with her sister who had some medical conditions at the time. And they were not in the home at the moment. There are no pets. There is no younger siblings other than that sister. There is no one else in the house. And it begins to get very cold in the hallway when we kind of walk out of her room. And her room, much like my office here, is at the end of a hallway. So we're looking into the dark expanse of her open living room. It's like a dual living room situation. And it's just dark as shit. But right before that, on the right side, is a stairwell. Goes up. Now that stairwell, there's a few things. It's covered by moving blanket style curtains. And what I mean by that is they're heavy as hell. Why? Secondly, those stairs are thick. They are not made of wood on the inside. Probably the step part of it. No. It is concrete with a wood panel all the way through. So it's concrete all the way through with a wood panel on top just where you step on it. But otherwise, you knock on that wall of that structure, you knock on the step around the wood panel. It is solid all the way through. And we have looked all downstairs in this dark-ass house. We turn on the lights. We're looking for Valerie. Can't find shit. So we're like, there's no way. She walked out of the house, right? No. Door hasn't been touched. Still locked. Back patio still locked. And the latch is up, right? She's not in the kitchen pantry. She's not floating above the damn table. None of that shit's going on. So we walk up the staircase. When you walk up this staircase, to the right is this bedroom. When you turn left, there's another hallway that leads to 3 separate rooms. And at the end of that hallway, up on the ceiling, is an attic access. And beneath that attic access is Valerie sleeping in a curled ball underneath that door. It's not open.
but she is directly underneath the attic access. Now, why does this matter? According to Janelle's family, hi Lupe. According to Janelle's family, when they bought that house, in the attic, whoever, whenever, whichever generation of different people that used to live in this home it was, someone stuffed their grandmother up there. Like, this is where you live now type situation. And this, whoever this person was, began to scrawl shit on the walls using nails, using her nails, using tools, using God knows what. Now, I have not seen the attic because I outright refuse. Maybe we'll get to them tonight, but there's more stories about this house, a lot. But I've never seen it myself, that attic, the inside. And according to Janelle, and Lupe kind of talked about it a little less, Janelle would talk about it and then immediately act like it wasn't a big deal. There was, pentagrams. There was different seals and sigils. It was something archaic in nature, not necessarily occult, not necessarily Satan, because a pentagram is not necessarily satanic. It seemed archaic and old. And again, so fans of Supernatural, this is your wheelhouse. If you know anything like that, throw comments, tell us stuff, because that is the kind of attic that was. Now, this girl is asleep in a ball, and you know how they say you should not really ever wake somebody who's sleepwalking? We said, fuck that whole thing. And we're like, yo, Valerie, what in the hell are you doing? And she has no idea. Much like they tell you with sleepwalkers. That, like, why you don't wake up, they freak out. It's shock. You think you were in bed and you wake up in the hallway. She freaked the fucking hell out. And was just absolutely manic eyes, tweaking. And again, she didn't know where she was. Her brain could not process which part was real. Because then there's the third thing of I should have been in bed. Why am I not in bed? And she recalls nothing. She does not recall the voice that she made. She does not recall the lady won't let me. She does not recall Valerie's not here. She does not recall leaving the room. And now you might think to yourself, well, it's just a kid making shit up. Valerie was like a valedictorian. And not like one of those, and was secretly an asshole. Like, no. She was one of the sweetest, nicest people in the damn world. She was always like super serious about doing the right thing, not offending people, not hurting people's feelings, not freaking people out. And she just didn't want to be seen that way. Upstanding person. Her jokes and her humor was totally different. And I'm telling you, that look in her eyes, man, that was different. Do you have another story?
Yes.
Then go for it.
That was so creepy.
Oh, it gets worse.
So, I mean, I don't have too many ghost stories just because, I don't know, I guess I've never had that many encounters, but at the same time, I wholeheartedly believe that, because I'm not religious, not to offend, you can do whatever you want, go ahead, but I do believe in the higher power, and so I believe if you believe, you're like protected. Isn't that what they say,
Yeah.
So I feel like that's why, and I'm gonna keep praying that keeps being the reason why I don't have that many encounters. But in Lexington, they only have one middle school, obviously because it's small. So the middle school, it's been there a while. Obviously, there's only one. But there was this story that they had a flagpole, because it's 3 stories. They had a flagpole that people would get onto the third story window when they would change the flag or whatever. There was a story that a girl went to go do that and she fell and died. Yeah. So, like, it's a real story, but people always say that the school is haunted. And yes, I definitely believe that. And I have a witness too. Because this one time I was in, I still remember, 7th grade language arts class. And I was sitting with just some people. It was just seating arrangement, but it was 4 desks in a square, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was sitting across from this girl, and I mean the lights are on. We're just waiting for something, and all of a sudden, just this like black figure just goes in between us. It's just all black. Yes. And so me and this girl are like looking at each other. We're like, "Did you see that?" And like, yeah, we both like, yeah, like we both saw that. And I've never been more creeped out in my life. Like, what do you even do? Like, it was literally like it just went past us, but it made everything black, just pitch black.
So you're talking, you saw like a shadow person.
Yes.
What do you know about shadow people?
Literally nothing, and I want to know nothing. Why, Tasia?
So on this podcast, we drop knowledge, right?
Stay
Okay.
away from Benadryl.
Oof,
So
I've taken that.
there are a few types of shadow people, because let me tell you something. I'm a skeptic, but another thing is when something becomes so ubiquitous in the human experience that it cannot be denied. And I'm not trying to talk about spiritual experiences so much, because you could go from religious to psychedelic to somewhere in between. Maybe none of the above at all. But what I'm talking about is what would be considered supernatural. When it's a supernatural encounter that is so ubiquitous, some might think Bigfoot or the Yeti or, the damn Chupacabra or some shit like that. And that's true, right? Maybe different countries have different versions, right? How do you have a version of a shadow? Shadow people, because I have a personal experience with shadow people as well. What's up, Mom and Dad? We were in Corpus Christi, and there was some stuff going on just within the family. Like, nothing horrible, but just, a little arguing here and there at the time. So you could call like there was negativity in the air, a little bit. We kind of went to bed, and I'm asleep in one of these double queen beds. We're overlooking like this pasture out the window, and I'm closest to the window. My parents are asleep in the next bed, closer into the bathroom and stuff. And my dad is closest to the center, and my mom is over by the wall. My dad rolls over towards the center, and he opens his eyes for a second because he hears something. And my dad is a very, very deep sleeper. Someday, I would love to have him on here, because he's been through some pretty intense experiences where you need to, like, have your ears open. So he's kind of like, his ears are trained for, like, that's not a normal sound. But if a train goes by, damn near through the house, he won't wake up. So he wakes up for some reason. And he sees a black form standing over him. And it's wispy. And it has like almost like fire, smoke coming off of it. And he's just standing there looking at him. Now he thinks to himself, hey man, I've hallucinated because of sickness and stupid shit like that enough in my life. I'm just having a dream. I'm half asleep. No big deal. What he doesn't know is my mom was behind him, also turned over and saw the same thing. Now, both of these people did not say anything because they thought the same thing. The deal is, at some point, they both recognize in their individual perspective that this thing has been found out. It sees that they see it. and jumps out the window. It goes, "Sss," jumps over me, apparently, according to them. This is all, half asleep like this. And my parents they don't do drugs, they don't do anything like that. They drink here and there, but not like crazy, like not stupidly. And it makes a glass crashing noise, but the window is still there. I didn't wake up. Nothing happened in reality. So the next morning, we're at the continental breakfast, the powdered eggs bullshit that they feed you at those places. And my dad just casually mentions, like, yo, anybody else see the shadow person? And my mom tosses the fork across the table, and she's, like, sick to her stomach. There's no way you saw that, too. Now, for all my internet people who are going to sit there and go, oh, well, you guys were all predisposed to the lore of the shadow people and the Hat Man, which is a whole nother can of worms. But the Hat Man and stuff like that, you guys were clearly on 4chan or Reddit or any of that stuff. This was 2005.
Yeah, mine was 2007.
Yeah.
And I didn't know any of that. I was a 7th grader, so this girl was daytime. We were not on any drugs.
Yeah, and just for further context for anybody watching, 2005 is when YouTube was launched. Yes, 4chan and Reddit had been around, or were coming up in some kind of proto-form. But shadow people were not a ubiquitous experience in the human experience enough to post about it on many, many forums at that point in time for both of us. When you're predisposed to the stuff, of course, then your mind has the information to kind of download it into your dreams or into hallucinations, especially when you're half asleep and all that stuff like that. When you're not predisposed to something, especially like my family, they were very, very much realists. If it could not be proven logically, if there was not, a set amount of data to look on about it, it's not that it didn't happen. It's that it's not important enough to give a shit about. This was. And again, we'll get someday into my history and my family's history and like their background and stuff, and come back to this video someday, and you will see how those folks are not really in any way predisposed to shadow people or those kind of things, like at all. And the fact that they come from two very different backgrounds, again, Kearney, Nebraska for my mother, and India for my dad, there's very little common ground there. It's not even a Latin derivative language my father speaks. They don't, there's so much disconnect. How do these two people see the same thing at the same time, the same way we're going from camera A to B like this, and report back the next morning, and it be a surprise to the other one that the other person saw it because they both took it as a hallucination. I mean, you're the only other person, Teresita, that has ever brought up shadow people like that to me.
I mean, I would have thought I was just having like a seizure or something, but that girl just solidified it into my mind that was real. We both had that same experience, and it was.
See, and
it blows my mind to this day.
That's that thing about having an observer there with you, because you're kind of stuck in your own head. Everyone is all the time, but having that other perspective is just suddenly that was real. That was real. That was real. Like you can't take that away from you. Can't take that away from them. And then maybe sometimes you can't tell people for 7 years because everybody's going to think you're insane. And I'll put it to you this way, is in Islam, they have a word for those things, shadow people. And Islam is one of the oldest religions in the world, along with Judaism and Hinduism and all these things. They call them jinni. Jinni, in Anglo-Saxon English, is genie, the wish granter. So there's a movie called The Adjustment Bureau, and it's very similar. You just see these things running by, and what they're doing is they're adjusting your life to make sure that you follow either a designated fate, God-given path, or that maybe if it all comes from your own brain, that they are adjusting life for you for things to fall into place or out of place. Per se, that's what a hex is, or a bruja is, brujeria, is when you're with that process. If that process is real. The demons, the entities, the jinni, the shadow people. What if it's all the same thing? And that's what creeps me out. Because it's like, you know about shadow people. I know people who are hella into brujeria that know about the shadow people, totally separate from the internet, like do not give a shit about Reddit and 4chan and all that, don't even care about Facebook. My dad in India, and then there's stories over there from his people. My mom from here, shadow people on the internet, and then me being this, half-breed ass, having my own experiences with Hatman, but my Hatman was more of a real human being. That is insane, though. Because that has always fascinated the shit out of me, the damn shadow people. Like, truly, because it just... It's not portrayed in media very often. And when it is, it's so campy and dumb. So rare, though. At least that I've ever seen. In the last 10 years, I haven't been watching, like, a whole shit ton of TV and stuff. TV or, like, Netflix and stuff. So again, no predisposition to that. I've never seen a shadow person since my Hatman weird experience. Have you?
Nope.
And that's that weird
and
shit.
I hope I don't ever again.
Because, oof. That shit is horrible.
Yeah, it is.
God.
I mean, I don't know. It was really quick, but at the same time, it was just dark. There was I couldn't think what to do or anything, and then it was gone before I could even say, what do I do? But, I mean, like I said, I haven't had many experiences with stuff like that, thank God. But actually, recently, I think it was like 2 days ago.
Oh, bet. So you're bringing that evil in here, gotcha.
No. This isn't my story. My sister and my mom were at our house in Lexington. It's not the small house. We moved to another house. This one's bigger.
Mm-hmm.
But she said that they were in the kitchen. The kitchen has 2 entrances. One goes to the basement. One goes to the living room, hallway, etc. So they were just sitting there talking, and my dad worked second shift. He wasn't home yet. And my mom is kind of deaf. Like, she's hard of hearing for sure.
Mm.
Right? So they were just talking, and then all of a sudden my mom turns to the door, and she's like, my sister's name is Elizabeth. She's like, Elizabeth, what's your dad saying? And then Elizabeth's like, what? Because she didn't hear anything, and she's in that same kitchen, and she can hear more than my mom, obviously, right? And so my mom's like, no, I heard your dad from the door. And so she goes over to the door, and nobody's there.
Huh.
And so that creeps me out. I don't even know if I want to go back there.
And fuck that shit.
But I mean, no, it's just, I think it creeps me out more because she is hard of hearing,
mm-hmm.
and because my sister didn't hear it,
That's creepy as shit.
Okay, so I guess I just have one more creepy story, I think. Maybe I have more, but...
If you got more, let's knock out as much as possible. Clip it up.
But this one I feel like is the creepiest to me. It's just... I don't know. I don't know if you'll believe me, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to say it anyway. Why would I lie? So this one time, my grandma was really sick. Like, insanely sick. So sick that my dad and 2 of his brothers went to go visit her because, they thought, this is it. Well, she did okay, and so they came back, but then they got a call, and they're like telling them, like, oh, like, she's really bad again, right?
Mm.
So, like, I was pretty sad. I mean, I love my grandma. Rest in peace. I was really sad. I cried a lot about it. I prayed. I cried. I was like, please, like, just, just tell me when she's gonna be done. Just tell me, you know. But I was just, oh my God, I was begging. So then that night, I had a dream. I was. It looked kind of like the living room of the that one show, that '70s show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that living room with the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
So it looked kind of like that. And so I was in that house, and I was in the house with my aunt, who at the time lived with my grandma because she was paralyzed. So my grandma was like taking care of her.
Mm-hmm.
But in the dream, she was standing up, and her face was just serious as heck, like no emotion whatsoever, just like blank, like straight face, like the most scariest thing I've ever seen. And I don't remember what she said, but it was like kind of a deep voice, but it was like all she said was numbers at me, just numbers, right? Yeah, numbers. And so like I woke up because it was creepy for real, just some serious face looking at you and just saying numbers at you, Tasia. I don't know, but it scared me.
Oh, I've played Black Ops 1, dude.
So yeah, in the morning when I woke up, like I remembered the numbers, and it was a date, and on that day, Tasia, she died.
Oh shit.
And I felt like I was so crazy. Like I told my brother, I told my parents, but they were like, no, like you're just like you're looking too deep into this.
Well, have you ever heard of a movie called The Knowing?
Yes, I have.
Have you seen it?
I don't think so.
Dog, do I have news for you? What you just said is the plot of that movie. And it's not like, oh, ha, 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 funny. No, 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 no. That is one of the most, if people out there don't know about The Knowing with Nicolas Cage, it is one of the most downright serious roles he's ever done. And it is touching on that line of numerology is really what that is. And the idea is a child in the 1950s in school could not stop scribbling numbers, and she started to carve them into like the desk with her finger when they took the pen away from her, pencil away from her. And when they wrote these letters that would be put in a time capsule and open 50 years later, hers were all numbers. And Nicolas Cage.
I do remember this movie.
And fucking.
They were all dates.
They were all dates, and every single one of them, like the one that is supposed to get you the biggest, is 09/11/01. And from there, every single fucking major date is something earth-shattering.
I think it had the body count after the date.
Yep. That's something like that. And it was crazy. It was such a out there thing, and it actually links into a bunch of just strange esoteric stuff. Like you kind of really don't see where it's going at first, but it is a fucking hell of a movie. But it's based in that, and there's something to be said about numerology, man. Whether it comes at you in abstract symbols in your own mind, or it's being told to you or interpreted. I mean, that's where horoscopes originate, is the combination of astrology and numerology together. I mean, almanacs are based on numerology. If you're having dreams in like numbers, or someone's having dreams in number form, I mean, that's pretty intense. It's scary as shit, but it's like, if that ever happens to you, you should write that down if you can remember those numbers, man. Because that's freaky.
No, for real. Like I knew the person in the dream wasn't my aunt, you know, but it felt like they were so mad at me that I was asking.
Mm-hmm.
I just, it was, I don't know. It was a weird feeling.
When it comes to like dead loved ones and shit like that, or like ancestors, do you think that there is a way to like not tap into your like ancestors' spirits and shit, but like be able to kind of see abstract, jumbled together versions of like their life, or like slamming together of different people's lives together, and that's kind of what dreams could be, in a way? Except for the ones that are like stupid crazy, you know, that's just the unconscious losing it. But the ones where it feels like people are talking to you, you know, whether it be somebody from a long time ago, grandma, grandpa, uncle, aunt, cousins. The way that when someone dies that, you know, you're related to far away, you kind of just feel it. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you mean. Yeah, I definitely feel you on that. I feel like, I don't know. I mean, there's all this talk about like gut instinct, or things that you just feel, intuitive feelings. I feel like we have a lot of that. We can just, whatever you feel, it's true. It's something.
Have you heard of the like the ghost children?
No.
So, Pendleton Ward, who created Adventure Time and animated Midnight Gospel, he's from San Antonio, Texas, and he threw a lot of references about San Antonio urban legends, shit like that, Texas urban legends. And in the Ghost Children episode for Adventure Time, the one thing you'll notice about the children, and you might just go, oh, well, it was an animation, choice. Sure, you're probably not from San Antonio or Texas. And if you are, you would know about the black-eyed children and how they kind of function in the same fashion as vampires. You have to invite them in. They can't, do shit without your permission to a certain degree. And the whole idea is possession or life wrecking in some way. But yeah, they're kind of like demonic children, and that's the whole thing. Like imagine your car broke down, and you're in your car, and you just called your whoever, and they're on the way to come get you, and two kids knock on your window, and they won't look at you. Can you take us for a ride? Can you take us for a ride? Can you take us for a ride? And the whole thing is, don't look at them. Don't look at them. Don't roll down the window. Don't, sure as shit, don't let them in. They'll come up to your house, and it's not like a gang. It's not. It's apparently demon children, is the word. But yeah, that was craftily thrown right into Adventure Time for no reason. There's a lot of things in there that are San Antonio references, but the story of the San Antonio school bus children, the kids were on a school bus. They were crossing the train tracks, the bus stalls, for whatever reason. Now, we like to say, nobody would ever do that. Have you been on the internet? Have you seen the kind of stupid shit people would do? Especially on a train track where they're just kind of not used to the policy of getting the off the track. So the guy puts the thing in park, the bus driver, and he gets out to assess the situation on the train track with children in the bus. Lo and behold, a train shows up. Train cannot stop because train did not expect bus to be there. Guy figures, I'm outside the bus, f this, and runs while the bus gets decimated by this train. Now the lore goes that section of track was then separated and cut off and decommissioned from the rest of the line. I and my friends, some of which are here, have a personal story where we were there, and that track was most definitely decommissioned the week before, and the week after when we went back, we almost got hit by a train. So either that train wasn't real, or the whole story about it being disconnected from the rail system was also a lie. But how do you explain the fence? And that's for a whole nother podcast. But have you ever heard of that story? Of
No.
that. So it is definitely a Texas thing. Waylon, did you hear about that all the way up in Austin?
I did not.
At all? Like the school bus children and all that shit?
I first heard about it, I think, on Ghost Adventures, who played a local San Antonio news clip of people putting a flower on the back of their bumpers in their cars and stuff.
So yeah, that's the thing people would do is long after the fact, as part of the urban legend, they would put flour on their cars. They would drive across this train track, put their car in neutral, and find that their car had been pushed, it felt like or seemed like, across the tracks. Now back to deduction and skepticism. It's because the hill, because yes, it's on a hill, it's a very, very, very slight incline and decline. Super slight. And also the trees in the area, they grow with a certain slant to compensate for that so they can stand straight up, and so it appears. And so when you put your car in neutral, you're actually going down the hill or slightly up the hill because it's just that perfect, like, peak. Kind of feels like you're going in either direction. And that's all it is. What it cannot account for is the handprints that show up on your car when you put flour on it. Some people say, well, it's your own hands. Okay. My hands are this big. The handprints that are on there can fit within mine. Those are not my hands. So even if I have residual oils from touching it and doing this and closing my trunk on my whatever, nah, fam. Because I also don't put my hand on the side of my vehicle. Just don't do like open hand flat on the side of my truck. Don't do that. Like I don't do that. And my hands aren't that small. Okay, maybe some kid in a parking lot or something. Cool. That's why they also advise you to wash your car, dry it off by driving over there, make sure it's completely dry, and then put the flour on to account for that. And still handprints show up. Don't know. But yeah, there's personal stories there, and we'll come back to that someday. But yeah.
That's the only urban legend I heard from Austin about San Antonio,
Jesus.
other than like specific buildings.
Well, I'm never gonna help a child in need. I'm gonna run to the nearest public establishment and call the cops. They can help that demonic kid.
Pull out the 9. You ever do you know about any urban legends around here?
Let me see. I know there should be some. I mean, like the Frank House. I'm sure that's haunted. At UNK, the business building.
Oh, you're talking about the
West Center. There we go.
West
That's
Center, and how
yeah.
it used to be a tuberculosis hospital.
Yes. I've never felt anything bad there. But I felt like it is haunted.
Yikes.
But I've never seen anything weird, I guess.
I've had a few people tell me, like, you know, if you can get in the basement, that's where the real party's at.
Oh, perfect. I know where not to go.
What do you call it? The one thing I don't like about West Center, so this is the westernmost building before you get to the medical buildings at UNK, for anybody who lives in the area, or goes to UNK. That place is certifiably terrifying because when you go in there, you'll kind of notice it feels like a maze. It every hallway looks the same. You know, every floor looks the same. Now I'm sure they spruced it up now, like they probably fixed a lot of it. But when you get like deeper into West Center, it just feels big as hell, man. Like it gets kind of weird. And when it's like the end of the day and teachers are going home and it's like nobody's really on campus, the sun is setting, it it gets this vibe, especially in the winter. It gets this, oh yeah, people died in here kind of vibe. And I think the other thing about it is the fourth floor, which then leads to roof access. The entire fourth floor is blocked off. I don't know why. Maybe it could be storage. Just throw some paperwork and some shit in there. From my experience in schools that used to be hospitals, the top floor is usually where people died. And it was to keep them away from the rest of the patients. In a school that I went to in Texas, there was a body caught up in the dumbwaiter. And it was being transported from the top floor to the bottom floor where the crematorium used to be. And someone just forgot about it and sealed old Timmy up in the wall, I guess. And he's probably already dead, but still. And so, the top floor, if there was ever going to be a place, part of a building like that was haunted, it's the top floor. 100%, no doubt. No doubt. And we'll get someone who knows what they're talking about on this podcast. But the word is around town that underneath West Center, there is a tank full of human blood.
And people say this, like you've heard this from other people.
People who work there.
What the?
And one of them you know. Yo, what up, Mikey?
What the heck?
Who works there currently doing contract work for them and has seen it himself. What up, dog? What up, Drew Ash? What up, Josh Baumgartner? Should I keep going?
You said he's seen it.
Seen it. They've had to chop down walls around the damn thing to get around it because that whole area is non-excavationable, which means you cannot dig there at all. Because, tank of human blood.
You're like, you're not f***ing with me.
Oh, I'm not f***ing with you at all.
Oh my god. What the
Josh Baumgartner apparently worked down there for 25 years. Drew Ash took his place and just saw some shit, and you could tell by the look in his eyes. And he was the first one to officially tell me. And I went and asked Josh about it, and he confirmed it. And then Mikey told us the other day at the damn bar, unsolicited. No one told him, no one asked him, you know about the tank of blood, right? And we're like, wow, that's real. Like, we have to live with the knowledge that that is actually a real thing. Underneath this town. And now you. And now all of you, too. Come to Kearney, Nebraska. We have blood tanks buried in the earth.
Well, people say there's also tunnels underneath, like under the Buckle warehouse.
Oh, there is 100%. Yeah, the tunnels around here, they lead to the presidential bunker that goes to Denver from D.C. 100%. No doubt. Underneath every Eisenhower highway is a tunnel. That's it, like Eisenhower the president. 100%. No doubt.
Oh, okay.
And every single one of those highways can be converted into an airfield. Like all of the Eisenhower highways. And I believe, obviously I-80 is an Eisenhower highway, but then Highway 30, that's the secret. That's where the real thing is. Like the actual presidential bunkers. Highway 30, the whole thing. The Lincoln Highway. And guess who created the Secret Service?
Lincoln.
Damn right. And then he got shot in the back of the head while they were still forming. So I'm pretty sure they kind of, were pissed about that and kind of decided to build a whole network to keep that from ever happening again. Psych. Didn't work. But yeah, so the Lincoln Tunnels, that absolutely exists. Right underneath, like the road we live off of, that's the presidential bunker. And then just adjacent, if you go through the warehouses over by the Frank House, actually, you can get into the blood tank area.
Oh, thanks, Tasia.
Yeah.
Just where I wanted to go.
Yeah, and that's kind of why they also tell you don't go into the basement at the Frank House because you can probably access it from there.
Oh, perfect,
Yep.
perfect. I'll go there immediately.
I bet you will. I bet you will. She's being sarcastic.
Oh my God, Tasia,
I'm home
I
based.
really-
I'm staying at home. And I'm
I
gonna watch y'all
really
do that.
don't want to go and see it, but I
Oh,
feel
I don't
like
wanna
I
fucking see that
will
shit.
see it at some point.
Yo, Mikey Becerra, dude. I know you're gonna see this at some point because I'm gonna send it to you. You want to come on the podcast and talk about that stuff if you can. If you can't, oops. But no, man, yeah. The blood tunnels. That's what we're gonna call them now. No, but that whole stuff is it's real. It's creepy. And every city, every town, every place has their shit like that. That's the thing. The creepiest part is always what are people getting up to by taking advantage of that kind of area. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously not everybody knows it exists. So what kind of, fun shit, quote unquote, happens down there that nobody knows about?
I know. I've always wanted to go into the sewers,
I mean, I guess.
to see the tunnels, the blood tunnels,
Well, see,
Tasia.
like it's not in the sewer system. It's like adjacent to it. Like it's a whole different.
But like I'm sure you can get through it through the sewers.
Probably, but I also highly doubt it because it serves a totally different function. Like it is.
But I feel like they'd have to have multiple exits. It would just be safer.
So the exits, like I said, they're the little warehouses on the UNK campus.
Yeah, no, I know, but there has to be different secret exits.
Oh, it's probably like in the hills, like right outside of the probably in the middle of somebody's farmland too.
Oh.
Like, and they probably know it. Like, they know it's there and have known for generations. And it's just like that little square area is government land. Everything else is theirs.
The
And deadass, you
keepers
just
of
have
the
like a
blood
fucking
tunnels.
general pop out of your fucking cornfield and go, by the way, there's a nuke silo right there we didn't tell you about. Like